Hi there. Hi, everyone. This is Manuel Blanco Aplevi. I am GAUGECASH founder. And I will be recording a series of lectures. So people that is interested in understanding the whole protocol, they can have access to this series in which I will go deep in many topics that are behind the development. Well, let me start a little bit telling you about myself. I am Mexican, so forgive me if my English is not perfect and if I made some mistakes along the way. It's my second language, so for sure it will be much more easier for me to go in Spanish, but English is right now the language in which most of the people will be able to understand this information. And well, I study basically some of the highlights of my career. I was a valedictorian of my high school, and then I was given a full scholarship to go to some of the best colleges in Mexico. I decided to study physics. The reason is I am a very curious person, and I wanted to understand how this world works to its fundamental level. And till this day, I am very passionate about theoretical physics, specifically fundamental physics. And we don't know yet how to put the mathematics of what is called the standard model, quantum physics, together with the general theory of relativity. So that is a topic that fascinates me. And being more precisely, the big question about what is time, right? So going deep in physics, that will be something that I have been always very interested in. But in reality, other topic in my professional career that I found very, very cool was finance. So I have made my career in finance. I started in basically 1998, always with my firms, but I have been participating for now 25 years in what is called the over-the-counter markets industry. So I understand pretty well money management, trading, funds, private equity funds, hedge funds, venture capital, something that is called brokerage financial firms, liquidity providers, as an industry, I mean. So basically that's it. And I will start saying that GAUGECASH was a development that came after trying to build the largest private equity fund in the history of Latin America. Although the word equity doesn't apply very well because we were using blockchain technology, and we were faced with a problem, the problem of volatility. Basically, if you are not invested in the asset that is the economical layer of the blockchain, in this case, we're building Ethereum, then you need to do something about the volatility of the asset, right? If you don't have to go back and forth with the price of it. So from there, we thought deeply about how to solve this in a decentralized way. When I say decentralized, I mean from the blockchain point of view, and even more precisely, in computer science, the study of what is called distributed systems has been known very well for many years now, decades. And Bitcoin actually is a development of that branch of science. I mean, with others like cryptography, game theory, economics, and others. And well, we were in the path of thinking that what the so-called stable coins that were out there in the crypto markets, they were useful for sure. That's why still till this day, USDT Tether is up there in market cap and volume. Well, probably in volume is still at the top because it's a necessity, but it's very backwards in the way of the solution, right? Basically thinking of an asset that is centralized and backed up by centralized entities. And the question is, can we do better than that? Can we come to the level in which Bitcoin was, or even Ethereum as the world's first decentralized computer, using all this knowledge of science till this day to try to become with a solution that was totally, let's say, decentralized? And the answer is yes, we did it, right? So after 5 years, finally we released the service. So I will talk a little bit more about that. But that is the context in which GAUGECASH came alive. If you didn't understand the whole thing of what I just said, don't worry. These lectures actually are going to be about that, explaining in detail everything. So we will go back to our history. So let's start. So I wanted to start with the topic of what is GAUGECASH. We, in a sense, we can answer these questions from different point of views. And all of them are quite disruptive, which when disruptiveness comes about, we have always good news and bad news, right? The good news is like in front of our eyes, we have something that probably never has been done. But in the other side, it's very difficult for people to grasp the idea and trust it and get to know that it is right and growth, right? This has been always the case historically. We have many cases along many areas of human endeavor, right? So this will be true about GAUGECASH as well. So let me say, or try to answer the question, as I said, from different point of views. The first one is GAUGECASH is the world's first decentralized monetary system. Okay. This is quite interesting for people that is in traditional finance, specialized finance, even governments of central banks, because it clicks all the buttons so that we can make sure that from a professional point of view, it can be enveloped in what is called a hard monetary system from the theoretical economics point of view, okay? But for the average person, which probably will be most of you, we need to go a little bit back and start asking what is a centralized monetary system from the modern point of view, probably even to explain what is a monetary system at all from the historical point of view from thousands of years ago, right? Because always humans have traded things, and trading has some misconceptions, right? So it is hard to believe that in the past, just I will give you an example, like people start, let's call it microeconomics, by exchanging only goods, meaning if you produce, let's say, corn, another one produces gold, right? That with the only production of what you do, meaning corn, you will go out there and exchange every other thing that you need with corn, right? Or in the other hand, if you produce gold, the same thing. Basically, that notion of exchanging thing for thing logistically is incorrect, right? It has been always true to think about debt, notes of debt, and creditors and owners of things. So notes will be always a better explanation since many, many years or thousands of years ago on how the economy started to work, right? But I let you think about that a little bit. So in these lectures, I will be touching in detail many aspects, just like the one I did. But always will be a stop to it, right? Meaning I will start from some basic knowledge about things, unless we have big requirements in the future to explain further any specific topic, we will do that, or I can do that. But for now, it's just a matter of myself giving these lectures in a way in which it's just a little bit improvised, meaning what I feel is necessary to understand the protocol. So this will be the way to go, okay? So come back to the answer here. So yes, I'll take a whole lecture explaining, or more, I don't know, what is a centralized monetary system in the modern form of view. And I will give the details on it. And then I explain why GAUGECASH is or as far as we know, is the first one, decentralized, which is the key aspect of it. So there's many things to talk about that. Again, this is just an introduction, so don't worry if I am not explaining thoroughly or you are not understanding at all profoundly, that's what I meant, we will get deep into these things, okay? So the other answer is the next best after Bitcoin. By the way, I just want to, now that we started, to make a parenthesis. All these are big statements, right? And we are very happy to say them. Meaning, when I say we, I mean my team and me, right? So I don't want you to believe that when I say we, I am one of those persons that are not responsible of what I am saying, right? So when we say we're talking the GAUGECASH team, right? That we have been working for 5 years to get this done. And so let's come back after parentheses. Is the next best after Bitcoin? Again, this topic, I will take it further and further. This is a very, very important one, because till this day, just by looking at the market, meaning market cap, volume, and so on, like in pages like CoinMarketCap, my personal opinion is that still many people doesn't quite understand Bitcoin and is misunderstood. And then I will give a thorough explanation of what Bitcoin is and probably what Ethereum is, because I go out there with some of my friends and people that I get to know, and they talk about the crypto market as if all the cryptos were just currencies, some of them, right? And that is not true. So just starting with Bitcoin, we can be very specific, not from what I said, but what it is, right? So in the paper, the so-called white paper of Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer cash system. So that's it, right? People that doesn't understand what is that, then that's another thing, but Bitcoin is that. And I will go deep in what an explanation of Bitcoin is. So Bitcoin is key for understanding GAUGECASH. And Ethereum as well, because Ethereum is the world's first decentralized monetary system. I'm sorry. Ethereum is the world's first decentralized computer. And it has to do a lot to understand that blockchain technology has many changing implications. I mean, there has been already written very, very cool books about that. Everything that can be done, but the people that we work professionally within the space, we know the power of this, right? But again, still the markets, if you go to CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin still is the top one, and nobody can argue that Bitcoin technology has been surpassed by now, from many points of view. So the question is, why is it still the #1 market cap project? Well, I'll try to give an answer to that, although I don't agree that it is. And I'll explain why, okay? So the third one, the third answer of what is GAUGECASH is a free service ready to be used by anyone, anywhere in the world. So let me move this a little bit up. So you can go to our website and you can follow the instructions. Our vision was always that everything that is in the back of the protocol, which is the hard part, the part that took us almost 5 years to develop, that's the hard part. We wanted the average user or the user interface, as it is called in computer science, to be very, very simple. And we believe we have accomplished that. So actually using the protocol is super, super simple. We want this to be a massive disruption in how people manage their cash, part of their wealth as well. So you can go and try it. It will be, if you're familiar with exchanges, central exchanges, or even decentralized exchanges, you will see that it's quite easy. If you are not familiar, then obviously there's going to be learning curve, but nothing much more of what is needed for to understand WhatsApp or some simple app, right? This is at that level of simpleness in terms of usage. What is hard to understand is why you can trust in the system, why you can trust in the values that we're providing, where all these things come from. And that's why I am doing these lectures, to get all this out of the way, okay? Just some, again, notes on the bottom of the answer is, yeah, it's available to anywhere, everywhere, literally in the world, through the App Store, by the browser. I mean, the app work in the browser actually is the thing that we're most proud of it, because any person that has a smartphone or lost access to internet, then they can use the protocol. Protocol is very powerful because it solves the problem of hyperinflation and inflation around the world. I will talk a little bit more about this in some minutes, okay? So again, the next answer is, it can challenge the Euro USD market in a decentralized fashion for the first time in modern history. So it's true that, well, this is just the top of the iceberg of what is called the Forex market, which is an over-the-counter market industry within the frame of the futures market. From these all are from the traditional point of finance, I mean names, and there's many cool things that we can say about the Forex market or fiat currencies, because the world is nobody can argue about that we are becoming more global. The interaction within countries is just growing, and it will keep growing in that exponential pace in the next years. So there is a real necessity for something better than the Forex market in reality. I will demonstrate that even the best fiat currencies in the world, what I call best, is an explanation of monetary policy. So I will not explain right now what I'm saying best, but trust me, for now, the best ones are what is called the major currencies, which is the euro, the dollar, the US dollar, the pound, the yen, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, and the Swiss franc. So those currencies are used for international trading. So there's a whole explanation about those dynamics. So I have been, or I consider myself an expert in especially the Euro-USD dynamics. So we will be explaining how GAUGECASH is so cool in this framework. It's a very, very deep connection between monetary policies, central banking, and fiat currency behavior. But again, just for normal people, for you, for millions and millions of persons, out there, for example, here in Latin America, which personally I have lived in Mexico in the era in which we had two devaluations, big ones, 1982 and 1984. That affects deeply the life of families, right? And basically, you can have a mortgage of your house and your business, and by a big devaluation, or what is called in finance debt, big crisis, you can lose everything from one day to another. That happened to my family. And so probably that's why I am I was very keen to understand what happened. And GAUGECASH actually is a solution not just for the crypto market, but out of the crypto market. The GAUGECASH actually is more of a solution for a real problem, which has to do with inflation, hyperinflations, from the point of view of central banking, what is called stability of prices. So from traditional finance now, hedging, right? That will be the word. So what I'm saying is there are all these use cases and many other, right? But like it covers all these just because the way all these things are constructed, meaning these markets, and then the solution that GAUGECASH bring to these markets and can touch all these different aspects of things that are good for, okay? So to end this part, just to say that if you are hearing this from, I don't know what part of the world, but if you are in the first world, meaning Europe, US, Australia, Canada, something like that, maybe this hasn't happened to you. But like if you live in Venezuela, in Argentina, in Brazil, and actually most of the world has suffered. So what I'm saying is there more people affected by the big debt crisis in the last 50 years than people that is not, okay? So basically half of the world or more has been affected by this deeply. And again, I will repeat, just because I am very keen about this topic, is GAUGECASH solves this problem of hyperinflation and inflation, and that is quite important. The simple explanation is like if you work, right, you get money, and then the good thing to do is, well, that you spend some and have fun. The other part is that you become more productive with that money, meaning you invested. Another part is that you save it, right? For anything that you may need in the future when you cannot produce anymore. So hopefully you have actives that produce money for you when you are not able personally, or there's always certain amount of money that we can do by our own knowledge or whatever ability we may have. Is better always to build some kind of support, meaning company, meaning investment, meaning, I mean, hopefully you understand. And that can bring you money in the future so that your economic necessities are covered. So one very important decision is if you rely, usually people put these things in real estate, for example, or in businesses within one country, and if they are all subject to the current monetary system of that country, that's a large risk. So now we have a solution that doesn't depend on geopolitical aspects or political decisions or government decisions. So that is the big breakthrough of GAUGECASH in this sense. We will talk much more about that. And just because the way it is set up by economic necessity, I will explain much more about this last statement in the future. It can be the largest venture in which anyone can participate and benefit. So meaning once you understand how the protocol works, the beauty is that you can use the system, meaning the service, the free service, in your advantage, and yet you can participate in it as part of your diversifications of active assets, so that it can produce or enlarge your wealth and going forward by just participating in it. Okay. Disclaimer here, we're not inviting anyone to participate in the sense of direct investment, but after, if you do your due diligence and your own responsibility, you can do that. And I will give you the arguments for what it can be pretty cool to do so. Okay. So that's basically the first part of the answer of what is GAUGECASH. So let's recap a little bit the main points. So is the world's first decentralized monetary system. We will explain what is that. Is the best thing after Bitcoin. We will explain what is that. It's a service. You can trust on it. One question that one answer that I want to give you in advance is like the topic of trust, right? What are the risks, right, of trusting now the system? Well, there are risks for sure. So from the point of view of the protocol, there are no fundamental risks. From the point of view of if the blockchain class in itself, meaning the whole technology, breaks down, yeah, we will break down. But that is the same to say that if the internet breaks down, it's quite unlikely. Okay, probably many things will break before that the internet, right? So in that sense, is pretty sure. But I never like to talk, I believe, is immature if we talk in absolute terms, right? So in a very, very good approximation, we can say is risk-free, but if you always think in something that can break at that level, the internet or even the blockchain now after a decade of development, as a large thousands of engineers working in this is very, very unlikely. Okay. So you can trust basically on it and start using it, right? So we will talk a lot about fiat currencies. There's a part in our website in which we have a section, part of the menu, that is called charts. We released some weeks ago a tool so that you can compare the GAUGECASH index against all the currencies that the index is built on, and I will show you in front of your eyes very, very dramatic scenes, right? Always that was a dream of mine to use or to have ready that tool, because it's a very simple way to understand the economics behind GAUGECASH, and it's quite surprising and cool to see the disruptiveness and the power of the solution, right, going forward. So again, that will be a whole lecture going forward. So let me take a pause here, and we'll come back with more later. Okay. So talk to you in the next time.